Okay, let's talk about step three. Step three is the present situation. And what I mean by this is a time when you show your prospects that you understand the world that they live in. Or as I like to think of it, because this rhymes, it's easy to remember, show me that you know me. If we track what's happened in the process so far, we started with immediate impact where we shook them out of the coma and grabbed their attention. Immediately following that, we created an emotional connection with our story where we demonstrated our credibility, gained some trust, and asked permission for the sale that's going to come later on. Now people want to know that you understand them and their world and their problems, and later on you're going to demonstrate how you can solve those problems for them. So I like to think of this as the show me that you know me section. And there's two ways that I love to incorporate into this particular part of the process. Now the first one is a metaphor. In order for these to work, you need to actually know what the problems that the client's facing are. So you can either ask about those, or maybe you can gather that information beforehand with research. I like to do that. I like to do research on my clients first so that I can show up and demonstrate knowledge and authority in their world. It's very, very powerful, and honestly I find it's more powerful than asking most of the time. So the two ways that I like to do this are, one, use a metaphor, and two, use a mantra. And I'll explain why I use both of those right now. A metaphor is so powerful because stories are humans' oldest teaching tradition. Now, this is how information was passed on for thousands, maybe millions of years before we had the ability to write. Complete oral histories of societies were passed on from elders to the youngers and on and on and on throughout the generations. So metaphors play a key role in human learning and understanding. That's really important. I'll say that again. Metaphors and stories play a key role in human understanding and learning, which is why they're so powerful to use in your sales process. So how do we do that? Well, I'll give you an example. I was delivering a presentation to a room full of life and business coaches where I was selling one of my ongoing training programs where I actually teach neuro-linguistic programming certification courses. Now, what I knew from my research is that these coaches had a couple of problems, and the biggest one for them is they felt they didn't have enough coaching tools in their toolbox so that anytime they find themselves sitting in front of a client, they'd know exactly what to say so they wouldn't lose that client to another coach. I called my presentation, How to Fill Your Coaching Toolbox, which already was a smash hit. Just the title demonstrated that I know them. So I'm already showing them that I know them. Now, when I stand up in front of that group and I create immediate impact and I tell my story about how I went from being a struggling acupuncturist to the success that I am now, and I do some coaching as well, so I was really able to connect with them on an emotional level. When I reached the point of present situation, I delivered a metaphor like this. I said, have you ever heard the saying, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail? Now, what does that mean? That means when you only have one tool, you've only got one possible solution to every problem, right? So let's jump back in. When all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And even though there might be clients at times that you'd like to take a hammer to, really, perhaps they only have a screw loose, and all you need to do is get the right tool out of your toolbox, the Phillips head, the flat head, and screw it back in again so that everything is nice, tight, and solid. Or maybe it's as simple as in their life, it's just like a dirty, dusty window. And all you need to do is come in with the damp cloth and the spray and wipe it clean so that they can once again see the right direction that they need to take in their life. Now, I'm going to take a step back again. I want you to realize what's happening in this metaphor. I'm demonstrating that I understand their world. I'm also demonstrating that they don't yet have the solution to the problems that their clients have. I'm assuming that they've only got the one tool, which is the hammer, so everything looks like a nail. And if you take a hammer to a sheet of dirty glass, you're just going to smash it. So what they need is the cloth to be able to wipe the glass clean. Do you see how this works? I'm wrapping it up in metaphors so that it goes straight in and it bypasses the conscious, critical part of their mind. It's so important, so powerful. Now, the second thing that I did is I used a mantra. Mantras are short one-liners that you repeat a couple of times throughout your sales call or phone call or presentation. And it's the key piece of information that you want locked in someone's mind after they leave. So if they were to explain it to someone else and someone else said, well, what did you learn at that seminar, or when you talk to that salesperson, they'd be able to sum it up in one sentence. It's hugely powerful. Now, using the example of the coach training, the mantra that I came up with, and I had them repeat this out loud, I'll explain why later, is I need a system to fill my coaching toolbox. And I would use that mantra over and over again throughout the presentation. So I'd teach a little bit of content and I'd say, remember, and repeat after me, I need a system to fill my coaching toolbox. Now, if you kind of fast forward to the end here, I've already asked permission for the sale up front, and now I'm having them repeat over and over again the mantra, I need a system to fill my coaching toolbox. Is it any wonder then when I make an offer for a program called How to Fill Your Coaching Toolbox that they rush to buy it? It's no wonder, is it? So what I want you to do is to think about how you can wrap up your sales message in a story, a metaphor, and how you can come up with a one-line mantra. I've got a bunch of examples on the page here for you of mantras I've come up with for myself and my clients. So go ahead, read through the information and do that step for yourself now.